Hi, I'm Mark Hughes of Forbes, and I'm here today to talk with Peyton Reed and Shepard Frankel from Ant-Man. Well, Ant-Man has exquisitely complex design and visual effects work. Can you talk about the importance of modern technology even making this film and its visual approach possible? This is obviously things even 5 years ago you couldn't have made this movie probably.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things about the Marvel movies is that, there have traditionally been 2 a year, and now I think they're going to ramp up to 3 a year. And it's weird because even in the few months between each movie, there are technological advances on all fronts, with the cameras, with the visual effects techniques. And I think the thing that we found was we used a lot of really, really high definition macro photography, still and motion macro photography to create the elements. And the motion capture of it all, like when he shrunk down to get an image of a hero that small in the frame, but who moves and feels like Paul Rudd, requires getting Paul in a motion capture suit. So I think it's the combination of techniques that were available to us, in late 2014 when we were shooting the movie, were just about as cutting edge as existed. And I think the combination of those techniques is what made the visual effects unique in this movie.
Was there any moment when you were kind of figuring out the design work and then during the production where you had kind of an aha moment where something was done that now, for moving forward and without revealing anything obviously, like an approach or a visual technique or style that you really look forward to exploring more in Ant-Man's future?
Yeah, well, there are a couple of things. I mean, just the actual, in the comics, whenever Ant-Man would shrink, there were sort of these little tracers that followed down to sort of show that he was, and we all talked about what's the movie's version of that? Because it wants to be photorealistic, but maybe a little stylized. So we did a lot of different versions of that. And so in the movie, there's that moment where he's on the roof with the Falcon, and Falcon is moving forward to grab him, to take him in, and he shrinks. And that, to me, was the one effect where it's like, okay, that is exactly what we're after. And then also the quantum realm, as we sort of started to discover what that could be in the movie, and the different levels of the quantum realm. We left that effect. That was one of the final effects that we did because it was Industrial Light and Magic. It was a long sequence, and it was really complicated to do. But I think it left us all sort of like, ooh, I feel like we're just sort of tapping into this thing. It'd be really fun to explore that in way more detail.
For the Blu-ray release, there's a lot of behind-the-scenes things, and do you have a mixed feeling about, on the one hand, kind of that there's this aspect of you're the magician who's showing how the trick's done, but then also it's so cool how you achieve these things that you really want to kind of talk about what was done to do it?
That's a great question, and because I started out as a director of making of documentaries. I worked with Zemeckis on Back to the Future 2 and 3 and Forrest Gump, and that was our whole job, was to demystify the process, show how they did everything. So when I became a feature director, I did a weird about face where it's like, I want to remystify the process, because that's kind of part of your currency as the director. It's like, wow, how'd they do that? And you kind of want to mystify stuff. When you do a movie like this, again, I think the people who are interested, I think they mostly know at least the basics of visual effects. And the challenge, I think, on a DVD and Blu-ray is to do something that's a little bit different. Fortunately, on this movie, some of the techniques we were doing, I thought it wasn't just people sitting at computers like doing CG stuff. There was actual tactile stuff to film and present. But it is a real thing that I can't say I struggle with, but I think about a lot, about how much you want to pull the curtain away.
Do you wish, in retrospect now, seeing what you have there with some of the extra features, do you regret not having more dancing and musical numbers in the movie?
Absolutely. Yeah, I talked to Paul Rudd about this. It's like the gag reel is one of my favorite things. The dancing is fantastic. And I've done this on a couple of other movies where when we were doing The Breakup with Vince Vaughn, there was some very serious, dramatic stuff in that movie, and we would do these musical versions where Vince would just sing the thing. And I talked to Paul about, well, next time out, we should just take time and schedule, just do an entire musical, an alternate version of the movie that's a musical.
That would be amazing.
Yeah.
So, I have to ask and feel free to not answer, but I have to ask, Are we going to get to see Ant-Man or Wasp fighting little microscopic bugs in anyone's mouth and like running across teeth and like a whole action sequence that's just in
Takes place
someone's mouth?
in a
maybe?
mouth. Well, yeah, that gets into the sort of the fantastic voyage of it all, like exploring the body. Well, there, you know, in the writing process, even on this one, there's so many discussions about if Ant-Man were truly trying to take out someone. There are a lot of anatomical things that he could do that would be disgusting, but would really effectively take out a villain. So yeah, these are always a part of our conversation of what is a visual way to tell the story and to utilize his powers that really has not been seen in any other hero movie.
Well,
So who knows?
that would be I, for one, am just really rooting for a moment like that.
Did you ever read the Irredeemable Ant-Man series, the comic series?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's really that tone is that's probably what you're after. I like that stuff.
Well, thank you for once again taking time to talk to me about
Absolutely.
the film. I love it. It gets better every time I see it, and I can't wait
thank you.
for Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Thank you so much, man.